Another universal industry that should be part of every model railroad is the interchange. The interchange, in a sense, is the connection of your layout to the outside world. And we can use this as a basis for also getting into operations. Now, interchanges can represent connections to another railroad. Whether this on my railroad here, this is the connection of the Union Pacific with the Southern Pacific. And so this connection here would represent connections to UP tracks that are beyond my bench work. In this case, the Union Pacific would leave cars on the interchange track, and then the Southern Pacific would go get the cars left there, or the UP could come bring in cars and leave them for the SP. An interchange can be a simple addition to your layout. It can simply be a track that leaves your loop plan, such as this, and just goes right off. It just goes right off the edge of the layout. So it's like and without you don't need much more than that. You can do other things if you want. If you want adding runaround tracks and more tracks to store cars are coming on and off, you can definitely do that. The said interchange could be visible, like the one I just showed you, or it could go into a hidden track. You could have it go into a whole stubbing yard somewhere. Whether this could be visible or not, or you could go into a hidden loop yard. Either way, but the easiest thing we want to do is to be able to use this as a basis for getting into operations. The first three layouts I ever had were essentially this kind of form, where you had an oval of some sort or a continuous run, and then we had just a simple track that went off the edge of the benchwork, representing that connection. In fact, today we'll be kind of utilizing my under construction in scale layout, and it in a sense is a big loop such as this with industries, and it has this interchange track connection. First, while it goes to the interior of the loop, is really no different than this kind of spur track going off. And the ultimate thing, when I complete this is really going to be this kind of arrangement, because this track will extends through this backdrop, and then go into a hidden spur on the inside between these module sets. And then we can actually use this as a scheme to actually get us into doing operations without too much extra work. In fact, because we're trying to give our layout a purpose for being there, these cars, by simply of figuring out these inbound cars are coming from another railroad to other parts of the country to be delivered to local industries. So we're going to go through what you can go through by having cars, picking up cars, then delivering these to industries, and then returning eventually back to the interchange with the cars that were picked up at various industries. Going to step through process using this industrial module here. Part of this you'll see in a series of images, mainly because you'll note that the track is not there as this point is pretty much just a set of just Sharpie lines on the cork road bed. You'll get the idea. So maybe the first thing to do, the cars can go on the interchange. These you can put there by switch engine. A lot of people, you'll end up starting the session, but before your session is using the 050, which is the hand here, and putting these cars in here, staging it here to be picked up. Then what we want to do is to pick up anything that is going to be delivered to the industries. I would say that you want to, when we're going to bring in these cars to be set out, what we're also going to want to do is pick up any freight cars that are going to the same industries. And part of this is you want not to make sure that we don't overwhelm your car. So a lot of these car spots only have a couple cars. You actually got to be able to pick up what you drip off. Also, don't want to start creating imbalance in your on your tracks where you have too much to be dropped off or too much to be picked up. So we're gonna come in with our train, and then we're going to pick up cars that are going to be delivered back to the interchange, and then we're going to set out these guys. Now, one thing you can do is take a pad like this and just make some simple notes of where these cars are coming from, or where they're going to. And you can be pretty arbitrary where these go. Nothing to be said. Just want to have a list of give an idea where they're going to go. And you don't really need this step either, but if you have a lot of cars, maybe help just keep things straightforward in your head. So here I just kind of made some quick assumptions. Here we have 3 cars in our train. We have a box car, a brown box car, silver refrigerator car, and then the flat car. So we're going to decide to send the box car to the freight house, which is this building right here in front of us. And then the refrigerator cars will go to our cold storage warehouse, which I have a stand-in building back there where these other 2 Pacific Food Express refrigerator cars are sitting at. And then lastly, our flat car was going to go to the wharf, which is this track running right in front of on the edge of the module. So in sense, what's been done here is you've created a basic switch list. It's a minor kind of a thing just to keep track, but you're going to keep track of these are all going to eventually be our set outs. Now, of course, we have to pick up we have things like this flat car's in the way, so it'll have to be picked up. Same thing over here. These refrigerator cars will need to be picked up because they are in the way of our set out. Now the overall complications of this, it will depending on your track arrangements, will determine on how long this takes to set these cars out and pick these up. Our locomotives on this end, we have a number of trailing point industries, such as this freight house, and the wharf is a trailing point industry. But this cold storage warehouse would be a facing point industry. So we'll actually have to do a runaround move to pull these cars out to get them eventually on our interchange tracks. Our next thing you'll see is a series of images picking up each of these cars, and we're just going to sit them on the main line here for now, get them out of the way while we switch. We'll now deliver these cars to the industries that we had selected before: our freight house, our cold storage, and our wharf. And you'll see the virtual switch operations occur to deliver the cars to our chosen industries. Series of images will basically going going to where we dropped off our cars on the main and go grabbing them, and then pushing all of the cars that are going back to interchange track. It gets you into a feel or a taste of operations without worrying about road numbers or reporting marks or a whole lot of paperwork, which can add a lot of drudgery for folks. But you'll find with doing this, even the simple switching, this has all been done on about a 1 by 4 foot piece of layout. You'll find that you can easily spend 15, 30, 45 minutes doing this sort of work. And by doing this kind of switching type of work, you can actually make your layout seem much larger than it actually is, versus just running trains around in a loop. So if you like this, kind of content, please give me a like, consider subscribing, and thank you for watching.